Hey, you guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Tips with T. On today, I have Miss Barbara with us. How are you doing today, Miss Barbara?
I'm doing great, Tiara. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being a guest on the show today. So, tell us more about yourself and what you do.
So, I'm running a coaching business. I'm living in Belgium, the middle of Europe, not so far from Brussels. And my coaching business has different divisions. There's the business coaching part, where BMW is my biggest client. I'm working with coaching teams there, see how every team member is performing in the team. So that's the business part, business coaching part of the business. And then I have a part which is personal coaching, like personal growth coaching. There I'm guiding mostly entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, to help them get some breakthroughs in life. Sometimes they're stuck, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in their career, and I guide them personally towards getting better results in life. Then I have a group coaching program too, a mentorship program, online courses, and several products. So that's a whole chunk. That's the entire business in a nutshell.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you are very well rounded with helping your clients get unstuck and knowing the ins and outs of certain businesses and what they need to do. But we all face challenges in life. So, what was the challenges that you have faced on your journey, and how did you overcome them?
In the meantime, I was married and we had 3 children in 4 years. And at the age of 32, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer. So there I was, like a business of 5 years old, 3 little children, married since 5 years, diagnosed stage 4 skin cancer. I was practically told that I had no more than 6 months to live. So that was a huge shock because you're really it's not something that you expect at 32 years old. And I can say, first night in hospital was like the night that I really shifted my mind. I was in hospital, like you're alone in a room, it's night. And it was the first time that I didn't have my babies, my toddlers with me. And I started crying because I missed them so much. Like you have that physical, every night I had babies, there were the little children, and there I was alone in hospital. And as I started crying, I was thinking, Barbara, where the children are now, they are surrounded with warmth and love. They were with my parents and my parents-in-law. They were 3 years and a half, 2 years and a half, and my youngest was only 8 weeks old. So I told myself, they do not realize what's happening right now. They just feel like they're on a vacation with their grandparents. And I was thinking, okay, so the kids are well where they are. What is it that I can do for myself right now that will help me? What is within my power? And I knew at that moment, the thing that was in my power was my mind and my mindset, my thoughts. And I told myself, okay, I will not allow any negative thought coming in my mind. If it comes, I will just let it flow away. And I will focus on the positive things in my life. I will be very strict on myself. My health, I will surrender to the doctors. I know I'm in good hands. I'm in hospital here. So the only thing within my power is my mind, my thoughts. And from that moment on, I refused to start going in some doom thinking. I refused to go in some negative thinking, even if the diagnosis was so, you could say, so horrible. So from the next day, like when my husband came to visit me, my parents-in-law, everybody was crying. And they all thought, like they were going to lose me in a few weeks or a few months. And I stopped them. I said, look, in this room, I no longer want to see any tear. I'm not dead yet. And your tears will not help me. You all start, like everybody crying like, oh, it's horrible. What's happening here? We don't want to lose you. You're too young. I was saying, stop. We won't talk about that here between these walls, these hospital walls. I'm not dead. I want to talk about what's going on. How are the kids? What's going on outside those hospital walls? I didn't even, even when I was in pain, when the surgeries were very, painful, I did not, if I had visitors coming and they were like, how are you? How was the surgery? I would never repeat painful moments, because in repeating that, if you repeat painful things, if you repeat, you could say negative things, you relive it in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be cheered up.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they couldn't cheer me up, just be present. If I go to have a checkup, my dermatologist would say, like, Barbara, it's a miracle that you're still around. And I'm happy. Happy every day for that miracle. Happy every day. And I think sometimes we have to be almost taken away something to even be more grateful that we have it. I think everybody too much takes every breath for granted. A healthy body, you take it for granted.
Yes.
And it's only on the moment when it's taken away that you're like, oh my God, wow.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in my body that hurts. Because I know how it is when everything hurts. When you feel all of a sudden like 90 years old instead of 30, because you're so exhausted, like with the chemotherapy, everything is so, your body is so much fighting. So even now, it gave me that deep, deep gratitude to be alive. It gave me the right focus, like not sweating the small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even in these, in these times, people were like, oh my God, I'm an entrepreneur too.
Mm-hmm.
April, my revenue was going down in April. Mm-hmm. But I'm the person who will focus. What can I do? I created a new program. I read even more books. I did some new courses, really focusing, reconnecting with some former clients, always looking for the possibilities and not going into some whining and complaining. I'm healthy. Mm-hmm. I'm super grateful. I stayed inside. I respected all rules. Nobody has ever grown or expanded or became better by complaining. You become better by focusing on what's good in your life, because what you focus on grows. So if you focus on your blessings, it grows. And I had some new clients even in this period. I had like almost 3,000 more connections on LinkedIn. It's like, whoa, things are moving on. But it's up to us to stay open for life, to stay open to adapt to new world and to new life. And I think how easier you adapt, how more successful you are. Because life is, sometimes I compare life with the sea, and we're on our boat. We have calm sea, we have stormy sea. And it's those stormy seas which makes us a skilled captain. But most people sit in their boat. When it's calm sea, they're all happy. Whoa, it's calm sea. And then they see like a storm coming and they hide. Like fear. They turn into fear. Instead of like, okay, this is a storm. I can handle this. And being confident. And sometimes we almost get drawn. But then it's up to us and think about, okay, what can I do in a different way this time? And it's always lessons in there. And, first of all, my first lesson you could say, in surviving the cancer was the gratitude for life and for our health. But the second lesson was at 32, I was thinking about my legacy, because there was a chance that I wouldn't survive. And I was thinking, okay, if I would die right now, would I be happy with what I'm leaving behind? And I was not. Mm-hmm. I was not happy, because until 32, I had lived the life that was expected from me. I had, went to high school, college, married, and I had chosen a business which I thought, my life was based on unconscious choices. I never had thought consciously, what is it that I really, really want? Because we are not taught in school to dream and to pursue our dreams. We are taught to be realistic, which is, I think, it's a dream killer, being realistic. I think all the visionaries and all the most successful people have never been realistic, never. And that's why we look up to them. That's why we admire them. So I started a journey. I continued my construction business, but I started a journey of self-development, I went to conferences, retreats, and I started feeling like, okay, in my normal life, people always came to me for advice. I was already coaching people without knowing, without having that as a job. And I felt like more and more the urge, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So, but I had all the investments in the construction business, and I couldn't stop, from one day to another. There was all the machinery and things. And in 2016, I had a huge setback and was betrayed by 2 of my employees, which forced me to end the construction business in a very painful way. And I ended up in 2016 with 200,000 euros of debt. It was horrible. And then again, I had my moment in bed, because it was on May, I think, 18, 2016. We got a call from the bank. We had a business building, which we were going to sell, to cover some debts. And they were like, okay, there's a big chance you're going to have to sell your private house too, your private home. So we could end up homeless. And that night I was in bed again and looking at the ceiling and thinking, talking to God, seriously, I survived the stage 4 cancer to end up here? And I was looking for the lesson. I was, okay, this situation is trying to teach me something. And then I got a deep realization, Barbara, whether tomorrow you're homeless or not, you are a worthy person. You are a person of value. You don't need that big house. You don't need those big cars to be someone. You are someone already. And it gave me a sense of worthiness that since that night can never be taken away. And it never came so far that we had to sell our house. We had a settlement with the Court of Commerce. And I can say 4 years later, running a thriving business now, we still have my income is growing like that. The debt is almost minimal. I think within 6 months it's over. And it has given me a confidence. I'm at a point where tomorrow, if I would lose all my material possessions, I would not even worry, because I know that within me, I have enough to offer to the world to start a new business or start a new career, even at 50 years old, because now I'm 50 years old. So that has taught me, you could say that the cancer was teaching me a lesson in gratitude and thinking about legacy. The almost bankruptcy has taught me a lesson in worthiness and value. And now the most valuable thing can never be taken away from me, because the power is within me. For me, the power is not in my outside, you could say, not in my title, not in my possessions, not in the cars, that's not there. It's here within me. And when you're at that point, you're in a very powerful place.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Barbara, for sharing your story. It was I'm just sitting here in awe because we do face a lot of challenges in life, but it's amazing how you overcame those challenges and you found the blessing during those challenges. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
Yes, it was such a pleasure to do that, Tiara. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome for being on the show. Feel free to come back on the show again. So tell everybody, how can they get in contact with you if they want to hire you as a coach, and I'll share the social posts.
I think the easiest thing is to contact me through LinkedIn. So if they contact me through LinkedIn, or they contact me through Facebook, but I think LinkedIn is the easiest way to get in touch with me. You can always direct message me, and I can see what I can do.
Okay. Well, thank you. And you guys, if you want to get in contact with me, my contact information, it is, contact at mjfinancial.biz if you want to email me. If you want to call me, my number is 910-317-0396. You can find me on my website at www.mjfinancial.biz, and you can also find this episode on Anchor and on YouTube, you guys. So if you want to go back and watch the video, or if you want to go back and hear the replay, you can do that on Anchor, and then you can watch the video on the YouTube channel. So thank you once again, Ms. Barbara, for being on the show. I highly appreciate you today.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. So thank you for listening to this episode of Tips with T. We will see you on the next one.